Jake Martinez sat in the waiting lounge and checked his watch for the 20th time. 6 hours. He had been stuck in this place for 6 whole hours. His cargo ship, the Rusty Phoenix, was locked up in the station's impound bay because of some stupid paperwork problem. The officials said he did not have the right permits. Jake knew he had the permits. He had checked them 3 times before leaving the last station. But arguing with the Galactic Trade Authority was like talking to a wall. A very slow, very bureaucratic wall. The station was called Velthar, and it was one of the biggest trading hubs in this sector of space. Thousands of aliens walked through it every day. Jake had seen all kinds during his 5 years as a cargo hauler. Tall ones, short ones, ones with scales, ones with fur, ones that looked like walking plants. He thought he had seen everything. Then she walked into the waiting lounge. Jake looked up from his datapad and forgot how to breathe for a second. She was tall, maybe 7 feet, with skin that was bright blue and seemed to shine under the lights. Her hair was silver and flowed down her back like liquid metal. Her eyes were large and had a purple glow to them that reminded Jake of distant nebulas he had seen through ship windows. She wore long robes that looked expensive and moved like water around her as she walked. Everyone in the lounge stopped what they were doing to stare at her. Some of the aliens even bowed their heads. Jake just stared. He could not help it. A fat alien with green scales waddled up to her. He puffed out his chest and blocked her path. The alien wore an official uniform with too many badges on it. He looked important, and he knew it. "Do you know who I am?" the official said in a loud voice. His translator made his words come out harsh and commanding. "I am Director Qualtech of Station Operations. You cannot simply walk through here without proper authorization. I do not care who you think you are. This is my station, and you will follow my rules." The woman stopped walking. She looked down at the official with an expression that Jake could not quite read. It was not angry. It was not scared. It was just calm. Very calm. Too calm. Jake did not think about what he did next. He just did it. Maybe it was because he was tired. Maybe it was because he had spent 6 hours dealing with officials just like this one. Maybe it was because no one should talk to anyone like that. Especially not to someone who looked like her. He stood up and walked over. "Hey, buddy," Jake said to the official. "How about you back off and let the lady through?" The official turned around fast. His scales changed color from green to a darker shade. "How dare you interrupt me? Do you know who I am? I am Director Qualtech. I run this station. I could have you arrested. I could have you thrown in a cell. I could have your ship sold for scrap." Jake shrugged. He looked at the woman and gave her a friendly smile. "I don't know who he is," Jake said, "but I know who you are. You're the sexiest alien woman in the galaxy." Time seemed to stop. The entire waiting lounge went completely silent. Every single being in the room froze. Some of them stared at Jake with their mouths open. Others looked like they wanted to run away, but their legs would not move. The official made a choking sound. His scales went from dark green to white in about 2 seconds. You just... Do you have any idea what you just said? Do you know who she is?" Jake looked at the official, then back at the woman. She was staring at him with those glowing purple eyes. Her expression had changed. Now she looked surprised, and maybe a little bit amused. "Should I know who she is?" Jake asked. That was when he noticed everyone else in the lounge was either bowing or running toward the exits. Security drones that had been floating near the ceiling came down and surrounded him, but they were not pointing their weapons at the official anymore. They were all aimed at Jake. The woman took a step forward. When she spoke, her voice was deep and musical at the same time. It sounded like wind and thunder and singing all mixed together. "I am Empress Kiravel of the 7th Dominion. I rule over 400 star systems. I command the Imperial fleet of 17,000 warships. I hold the ancient throne of Velshar, which my family has held for 3,000 years. I am the 63rd Empress of my line." Jake felt his smile start to fade. His brain was trying to catch up with his mouth, but it was moving very slowly. "Oh," he said. "That's pretty impressive. And you are?" Kiravel asked. One of her eyebrows went up in a way that made Jake think she was either about to laugh or have him executed. "Maybe both." "Jake Martinez," he said. His voice sounded much smaller now. "Cargo hauler. Currently unemployed because of bureaucratic problems with my permits." The official made another choking sound. "Your Majesty, I apologize deeply for this human's disrespect. I will have him removed immediately. I will have him punished. I will make sure he never sets foot on another station in the Empire." Kiravel held up one hand. The official stopped talking instantly and backed away. She kept looking at Jake with those glowing eyes. He could not tell what she was thinking. Her face was calm again. But there was something happening behind her eyes. Something that might have been anger, or might have been something else entirely. Then she did something that shocked everyone in the station even more than what Jake had said. She laughed. It was not a small laugh or a fake polite laugh. It was real laughter that came from deep in her chest. It rang through the waiting lounge like bells. She put one hand up to her face and wiped something from the corner of her eye. "In 300 years, she said, still laughing a little, "no one has spoken to me like that. 300 years. Every being I meet does one of two things. They either bow and scrape and act terrified, or they smile and scheme and try to use me for their own gain. You," she pointed at Jake, "you just saw another person. You did not see an empress. You did not see a title or a throne or political power. You saw a woman, and you tried to help her. That is either the bravest thing or the stupidest thing anyone has done in my presence in a very long time." Jake did not know what to say to that. "Is it too late to say, 'I am very sorry'? Do you take it back?" Kiravel asked. "What you said about me?" Jake thought about lying. He thought about apologizing, and bowing, and trying to save his own life. But something in her eyes made him tell the truth instead. "No," he said. "I do not take it back. You are very attractive." That part was true. The part about not knowing you were an empress who could have me killed, that part, I regret a little bit. Kiravel smiled again. It was a real smile that changed her whole face. "Good," she said. "I appreciate honesty." She turned to the official. "Release this human's ship. Give him full clearance for all stations in the 7th Dominion. And compensate him for the 6 hours he wasted here today." "But, Your Majesty," the official started to say. "That was not a request, Director Qualtech." The official bowed so low his face almost touched the floor. "Yes, Your Majesty. Right away, Your Majesty." Kiravel looked back at Jake. "Walk with me, Jake Martinez. I think we should talk." Jake followed her out of the waiting lounge. Behind them, the other beings started talking all at once, their voices rising in excitement and disbelief. Jake heard the official already calling someone to tell them what had just happened. As they walked through the station, Jake wondered if he had just made the best decision of his life, or the worst one. Either way, it was too late to take it back now. Jake walked beside the Empress through the station corridors. Her royal guards followed them at a distance, their weapons ready, but not aimed at him anymore. People moved out of the way as they passed. Some bowed. Others just stared with wide eyes. "Where are we going?" Jake asked. He tried to keep his voice casual, like walking with an empress was something he did every day. "My ship," Kiravel said. "The Imperial flagship, Velshara. It is docked at the main port. We will have dinner. We will talk. And you will tell me about yourself." "There is not much to tell," Jake said. "I haul cargo from one system to another. I try not to get in trouble. I mostly fail at that last part." Kiravel glanced at him. "You are human. Earth is very far from here. How did you end up in this sector?" "Long story," Jake said. "Short version is, I wanted to see the galaxy. Turned out the galaxy is really big, and mostly full of people trying to cheat you on cargo contracts. But the pay is okay, and I get to see new places. Could be worse. They reached the docking port. The Imperial flagship was impossible to miss. It was huge. At least 3 times bigger than any other ship docked at the station. The hull was dark blue and covered in symbols that glowed with a soft light. Jake could see weapons ports along its sides. Lots of weapons. Ports. That is a very big ship, Jake said. It needs to be, Kiravel replied. I travel with a crew of 3,000, plus my guard, plus diplomatic staff, plus advisors who think they know better than me. They boarded the ship through a private entrance. The inside was even more impressive than the outside. The corridors were wide and tall, with walls that seemed to be made of polished stone. Lights glowed from sources Jake could not see. Everything was clean and perfect. A woman in military uniform met them as they entered. She was the same species as Kiravel, with blue skin and silver hair. But her eyes were yellow instead of purple. She looked at Jake with obvious suspicion. Commander Lyris, Kiravel said. This is Jake Martinez. He will be joining us for dinner. Please make sure he is treated as an honored guest. Your Majesty, Lyris said slowly. Is that wise? We do not know this human. He could be dangerous. He could be a spy. He called me sexy in front of a room full of people, Kiravel said with a small smile. If he is a spy, he is the worst spy in the galaxy. Now please, make our guest comfortable. Lyris did not look happy, but she bowed. They walked through more corridors until they reached a private dining room. It was smaller than Jake expected, with a table that could seat maybe 10 people. Large windows showed the stars outside. A servant brought food on silver plates. The food looked strange but smelled amazing. Eat, Kiravel said, sitting down across from him. I promise it is safe for humans. I checked. Jake picked up a fork and tried something that looked like purple meat. It tasted like chicken mixed with cinnamon. This is really good, he said. I am glad you like it. Kiravel took a drink from a crystal glass. Now tell me, Jake Martinez, what do you know about the 7th Dominion? Jake set down his fork. Not much. You rule a big part of this sector. You have a lot of ships. You do not like the Kryn Collective. That is about all I know. The Kryn, Kiravel said, and her voice went cold. Yes, they are a problem. A very big problem. They have been preparing for war for the last 10 years. Building ships, training soldiers, taking over neutral systems, and they will attack us soon. Very soon. Why are you telling me this? Jake asked. I am just a cargo hauler. Why are you telling me? I am just a cargo hauler. Kiravel leaned forward. Because I need people I can trust. And trust is very hard to find when you are an empress. Everyone wants something from me. They want power. They want money. They want favors. They smile and bow and tell me what they think I want to hear. But you just told me the truth. You did not care that I was an empress. You saw a person being treated badly and you helped. That tells me something about your character. I still do not understand what you want from me, Jake said. I want to hire you. Kiravel said simply. I need someone to make deliveries for me. Special deliveries. Secret ones. You are perfect for this job. Because no one knows who you are. You are not connected to my court. You are not part of any noble house. You are just a human cargo hauler. The Kryn would never suspect you. Jake sat back in his chair. This was crazy. This was beyond crazy. An empress wanted him to be some kind of secret courier. What kind of deliveries? What? Messages. Small packages. Information that cannot be sent through normal channels. Things that my enemies cannot know about. Kiravel watched him carefully. I will not lie to you, Jake. This is dangerous work. If the Kryn catch you, they will not be kind. If my political enemies find out, they will try to use you against me. You could die doing this. Why not use your own people? Jake asked. You have 3,000 crew members on this ship alone. Because my own people can be traced back to me, Kiravel explained. If one of my soldiers delivers a secret message, everyone knows it came from me. But if a random human cargo hauler delivers it, it just looks like normal business. And right now, I need to build alliances without my enemies knowing. I need to prepare for the war that is coming. I need people who can move through the galaxy without drawing attention. Jake looked out the window at the stars. He thought about his simple life hauling cargo. He thought about how boring it had been. He thought about how he had wanted adventure when he left Earth. Well, this was definitely an adventure. A probably fatal adventure, but an adventure. If I do this, Jake said slowly, I need something from you. Name your price, Kiravel said. Money? A better ship? Protection? Truth, Jake said. I need you to always tell me the truth. No matter what. If you are sending me into danger, tell me. If something goes wrong, tell me. I do not like being lied to. Kiravel smiled. It was not her royal smile. It was a genuine smile that reached her eyes. You are a strange human, Jake Martinez. Most people in your position would ask for wealth or power. You ask for honesty. Honesty is worth more than money, Jake said. At least, that is what my mother always told me. Your mother was a wise woman. Kiravel stood up and extended her hand in the human fashion. Do we have an agreement? You work for me, and I promise to always tell you the truth. Jake stood up and shook her hand. Her skin was cool and smooth. Her grip was firm. We have an agreement. Good, Kiravel said. Commander Lyris will give you your first assignment tomorrow. For tonight, you are my guest. Rest. Eat. The ship has rooms for visitors. You will stay here until we reach the next station. Jake nodded. Thank you, Your Majesty. When we are alone, Kiravel said quietly, you can call me Kira. I think we are past the point of formal titles. Do you not agree? Sure, Jake said. Kira. And you can keep calling me Jake. As a servant led him to his guest room, Jake wondered what he had just gotten himself into. He had just agreed to work for an empress, to carry secret messages in a galaxy preparing for war, to risk his life for someone he had just met. But when he thought about Kira, about her honest eyes and genuine smile, he felt like he had made the right choice. For the first time in 5 years of hauling boring cargo, Jake felt like he was part of something important. He just hoped he lived long enough to see how it all turned out. 6 weeks passed quickly. Jake made 12 deliveries in that time. Small packages sealed with codes he could not break. Messages written in languages he could not read. Once, he delivered a tiny data chip that weighed almost nothing but was guarded like it contained the secrets of the universe. Maybe it did. He learned that being a secret courier was nothing like hauling regular cargo. Every delivery was different. Every contact was nervous. Every meeting happened in dark corners, or empty warehouses, or ships that appeared and disappeared without leaving records. Jake also learned that Kira was trying to stop a war, not start one. Every package he delivered was another attempt to build peace. Treaties for neutral worlds to sign. Proof of Kryn aggression to show doubters. Secret communications with resistance groups inside Kryn space who did not want war either. Never ask what is in the packages, Commander Lyris told him before his first mission. Just deliver them and come back alive. But Jake was not stupid. He could figure things out. He saw patterns. He understood what Kira was doing. She was building a network of allies. She was trying to surround the Kryn with so many friends that they would have to choose peace. The problem was that Kira had enemies inside her own empire too. The noble houses thought she was weak. They wanted to attack the Kryn first. They did not understand that she had already fought wars, that she had seen worlds burn, that she was trying to save lives, not win glory. Jake delivered a package to the planet Tarnkai on his 13th mission. Tarnkai was neutral territory, which meant both sides agreed not to fight there. It was a safe place. At least, it was supposed to be. He walked into a bar near the spaceport. The bar was called The broken star, and it was full of aliens from 20 different species. His contact was supposed to meet him there at midnight. Jake ordered a drink and sat in a corner booth. He kept the package in his jacket, small and light against his chest. The door opened, and 3 Kryn walked in. Jake froze. Kryn were not supposed to be on Tarnkai. This was neutral space. But there they were, tall and thin, with bodies that looked like insects standing upright. Their eyes were black and multifaceted like a fly's eyes. They clicked when they talked, and moved with quick, jerky motions that made Jake's skin crawl. One of them spotted Jake. Humans were rare in this sector. Jake had always thought that was an advantage. Now it made him stand out like a signal fire. Human. The Kryn clicked. Its translator turned the sounds into rough words. You. Come. Questions. Jake's hand moved toward the weapon hidden under his jacket. Lyris had given it to him after the 3rd mission. Only use this if you absolutely have to, she had said. And if you do use it, make sure you survive to tell me why. Before Jake could draw the weapon, chaos exploded through the bar. The Kryn were not there for him specifically. They were there for everyone. This was a raid. They started grabbing people and scanning them with handheld devices. People screamed. Some fought back. Others ran for the exits. Jake ran too. He made it out the back door before the Kryn could grab him. But not before one of them pointed a scanner at him and recorded his biometric data. His face. His DNA signature. Everything they needed to identify him. That was very bad. If the Kryn matched his biometrics to ship records, they would track the Rusty Phoenix. If they tracked his ship, they would see patterns in his travels, patterns that would lead them straight to Kira's secret network. Jake ran to his ship. He had to warn Kira, had to get a message to her somehow, but the Kryn were jamming all communications on the planet. The only way to warn her was to go directly to the Imperial flagship. The problem was huge. The flagship was hosting a state dinner that very night. Kira was meeting with representatives from 8 neutral worlds. She was trying to convince them to form a defensive alliance. If Jake burst in with news of the Kryn raid, he would not only interrupt the most important diplomatic event of the year, he would also reveal his connection to Kira in front of everyone. Some of those representatives might be spies. Some might report back to Kira's enemies. But if he did not warn her, the entire intelligence network could be destroyed. Dozens of agents could be exposed. Years of careful planning could be ruined. Jake made a decision. He fired up the Rusty Phoenix and jumped to the system where the flagship was orbiting. He used the emergency codes that Lyris had given him. Only in case of absolute crisis, she had warned. Use these wrong, and I will throw you in a cell, myself. This counted as a crisis. Jake bypassed station security. He docked at the flagship's private port. He walked through corridors filled with guards who looked at him with suspicion but let him pass because of his clearance codes. He reached the grand dining hall, where soft music played and elegantly dressed beings from across the galaxy shared food and wine. Jake walked right in. His boots were still dusty from Tarnkai. His jacket was torn from running. He probably smelled like sweat and fear. Every eye in the room turned to him. The music stopped. Conversations died in mid-sentence. 8 ambassadors stared at this random human who had just interrupted their dinner. Kira's advisors looked shocked. Some reached for weapons. "Your Majesty," Jake said loudly. He looked directly at Kira, who sat at the head of the long table. "We have a problem." The room erupted. Who was this human? How dare he interrupt? What was the meaning of this? Security guards moved to grab him and throw him out, but Kira held up one hand. The room went silent, instantly. "Let him speak," she said. Her voice was calm, but Jake could see concern in her eyes. She knew he would not be here unless something had gone very wrong. Jake delivered his report quickly. The Kryn raid on Tarnkai. The biometric scan. The potential compromise of the entire network. He watched Kira's face change as she understood what this meant. Around them, Ambassadors whispered to each other. Some looked suspicious. Others looked worried. One looked pleased. Like this news made him happy. Jake filed that away in his memory. That one might be a spy or an enemy. "Thank you, Captain Martinez," Kira said formally. She used a rank Jake did not actually have. "Ladies and gentlemen, if you will excuse me for one moment, I must attend to this urgent matter." She stood and walked toward a side door. Jake followed her. Commander Lyris followed them both. Once they were in a private chamber away from the ambassadors, Kira turned to him. "That was reckless," she said. "You exposed yourself to every potential spy in that room. Your face, your name, everything." "I know," Jake said. "But the alternative was worse. If I had waited, if I had tried to send a coded message, we might have lost the whole network." Kira studied him for a long moment. Then, something in her expression softened. "You are right. You did the right thing, even though it cost you your secrecy." She turned to Lyris. "We need to move the network. Full protocol. Assume the Kryn have Captain Martinez's biometric signature. Assume they will track his ship movements." "What about me?" Jake asked. "I am compromised. I cannot work in secret anymore." "No," Kira said quietly. "Which means I can no longer ask you to hide. Commander Lyris will give you new orders. From now on, you will work directly with Imperial security. Official position. Diplomatic courier. It is more dangerous, but it is also more honest. No more pretending you are just a random cargo hauler." 2. End quote. 2. "So everyone will know I work for you," Jake said. "Yes. And that makes you a target. The Kryn will hunt you. My political enemies will try to use you to get to me. You can walk away now if you want. I would not blame you." Jake thought about it for maybe 3 seconds. "No. I am not walking away. We started this together. We finish it together." And Kira smiled. It was small and tired but genuine. "Thank you, Jake." As Jake left the chamber, he understood that his simple life was completely gone now. He was part of something much bigger, something dangerous, something that might save the galaxy or get him killed, probably both. 3 months after the Tarnkai incident, the Kryn finally made their move. They did not attack just one system. They attacked 12 at the same time. Billions of people were in danger. The war that everyone feared had finally begun. The neutral worlds that Kira had been courting had to make a choice. Fight with the Seventh Dominion, or stand aside and hope the war did not touch them. Most chose to fight. Kira's months of careful diplomacy had paid off. She had more allies than the Kryn expected. But the Kryn were still strong, and they were ruthless. Jake found himself in the middle of humanity's strangest moment in the galaxy. The Kryn attacked a human colony world called New Dakota. They thought it would be an easy victory. Humans were new to the galaxy. They had small ships and old weapons. The Kryn expected them to run. What they got instead was every human colonist refusing to give up. What they got was farmers with hunting rifles, fighting against soldiers in battle armor. What they got was Kira's fleet arriving just in time to provide support from orbit. Jake had been delivering defense codes to the colony when the attack started. He could have jumped away in the Rusty Phoenix. Could have saved himself. Instead, he found himself organizing evacuations while Kryn soldiers advanced through the colony streets. "You should go," said Lisa Hammond. She was the colony administrator, a tough woman with gray hair who had helped load children onto transport ships for the last 3 hours. "You have done enough. Someone once told me that doing enough is how you lose wars," Jake replied. He was thinking of Kira. She had said that during one of their strategy meetings. Jake had been attending those meetings lately, officially as a diplomatic courier, unofficially as something else. A friend, maybe. An advisor. Someone who could tell her the truth when everyone else was too afraid. The Kryn broke through the defense line at Sector 7. Jake grabbed a rifle from a fallen soldier. It was a human rifle, considered primitive by galactic standards. But it worked. It was brutal and loud and effective. He joined a group of colonists holding a street corner. They fired at the advancing Kryn soldiers. The Kryn fired back with energy weapons that burned holes in walls. It was chaos and noise and fear. Then Jake saw her. Kira was there, in full battle armor that glowed with blue light. She led her personal guard into the thickest part of the fighting. She was not hiding on her flagship like a normal ruler would. She was right there in the streets, fighting beside her people. She was glowing. Actually glowing. Her whole body radiated light that made the Kryn soldiers hesitate. Jake learned later that her species could manifest energy in times of great need. Right now, she looked like a warrior goddess from ancient myths. "What are you doing here?" Jake shouted over the sound of weapons fire. "You are supposed to be on the flagship. You are supposed to be on the flagship, and you are supposed to be evacuating," Kira shot back. Her weapon cut down 3 Kryn soldiers with precise bursts. Yet, here we are. They fought side by side for 3 hours. Jake fired his rifle until it overheated. Then he grabbed another one. Kira moved through the battle like she had been doing this for centuries. Which she probably had. She was 300 years old. She had seen wars before. When the Kryn finally retreated, Jake was covered in dust and blood and his ears were ringing. Kira looked like she had walked through fire. Her armor was scorched. Her face was smudged with soot, but she was alive. Medics rushed to help them. Jake sat on a broken wall while someone cleaned a cut on his arm. Kira sat beside him while someone checked her for injuries. "You saved my life," Kira said quietly. Around them, the sounds of the battle were fading. Transport ships were landing to collect the wounded. "You saved mine first," Jake replied. "Pretty sure we are even." "No," Kira said. She turned to look at him. Her purple eyes were serious. "We are not even. Because you keep choosing to stay. Even when you could leave. Even when any sane person would run. Why? Absolute. Why?" Jake was quiet for a moment. The truth was complicated. It involved believing in what she was doing. It involved respecting her more than anyone he had ever met. It involved feelings that he probably should not have for an alien empress. Feelings that he had been trying to ignore for weeks now. "Because someone has to stand with you," Jake finally said. "And I figure if a nobody cargo hauler from Earth can do it, maybe others will too." Kira smiled. It was tired and sad and warm all at once. "You are not a nobody, Jake Martinez. You are one of the bravest people I have ever met." Before Jake could respond, Commander Lyris ran up to them. Her face was grim. "Your Majesty, we have intercepted Kryn communications. They are planning something big. Something worse than these attacks." "What is it?" Kira asked, standing up. "They are going to attack the Imperial homeworld," Lyris said. "A direct assault on the capital. They want to end this war quickly by cutting off the head of the Empire." Jake felt his blood go cold. The Imperial homeworld was where the ancient throne stood. It was where billions of Kira's people lived. If the Kryn took it, the war was over. The Seventh Dominion would fall. "When?" Kira asked. Her voice was steady, but Jake could hear the worry underneath. "We are not sure." Kira nodded slowly. "Recall the fleet. All ships. We defend the homeworld." As Jake watched her give orders, saw her transform from a person into an empress, he understood something important. This war was not just about territory or power. It was about survival. The Kryn wanted to conquer everything. Kira was trying to save it. And Jake, somehow, had become part of that fight. Later that night, after the wounded had been evacuated and the colony secured, Jake found Kira standing alone on the landing platform. She was looking up at the stars, the same stars that had brought them all to this moment. "Are you scared?" Jake asked, walking up beside her. "Yes," Kira said honestly. She had promised to always tell him the truth. "I am 300 years old, and I am scared." Scared that I will fail my people. Scared that all my efforts for peace will end in more war. Scared that I will lose everything I have tried to protect. You will not fail, Jake said. Because you are not trying to win glory. You are trying to save lives. That is what makes you different from everyone else. Kira looked at him. In the starlight, her eyes seemed to glow even brighter. You have too much faith in me. Jake Martinez. Maybe, Jake admitted. Or maybe I just see what everyone else is too blind to notice. You are not just an empress. You are someone who cares. Someone who fights not because you want to, but because you have to. That is worth believing in. Kira reached out and took his hand. Her skin was cool and smooth. They stood there together, human and alien, looking at stars that suddenly seemed much more fragile than before. The war was getting worse. The battle ahead would be terrible. But in that moment, standing together under distant suns, they both felt something that might have been hope, or maybe it was something else. Something neither of them was ready to name yet. The Imperial homeworld waited, and so did the Kryn. The real war was about to begin. The attack on the Imperial homeworld never came, not because the Kryn changed their minds, but because Jake Martinez did something incredibly stupid that somehow worked. During the battle on New Dakota, Jake had grabbed a Kryn communication device from a fallen soldier. While everyone else focused on military strategy, Jake spent weeks trying to decrypt it. He worked with Sophie Chen, a human colonist who was brilliant with computers. Together, they broke the Kryn codes. What they found was worse than an attack on the homeworld. Much worse. The Kryn had found an ancient weapon from the old wars, a weapon that could make a star go supernova. They were going to destroy the Seventh Dominion's sun, kill every living thing in the home system. Billions of lives gone in an instant. Jake brought the information directly to Kira. But when he arrived at the palace, she was in the middle of a political crisis. The noble houses were demanding she step down. They said her peaceful approach had failed. They wanted a military dictator. They wanted total war against the Kryn. The throne room was filled with angry nobles when Jake walked in. His boots were muddy. His clothes were worn. He carried a datapad in his hands. Empress Kira, Jake said loudly, ignoring all protocol. I need 5 minutes. The room exploded with outrage. How dare this human interrupt? Who did he think he was? Security moved to remove him. Jake, Kira said wearily from her throne. She looked tired. Tired in a way that 300 years of life had earned. This is not a good time. It is about to be the worst time, Jake replied. He walked right up to the throne and showed her the datapad. The Kryn are going to kill your son. They found an old war weapon, and they are going to use it. Kira's face went pale. Around them, nobles began shouting questions and accusations. But Jake was not finished. But here is the thing, he continued. They will not use it if they think they can win the war conventionally. They are using it as insurance, which means if we escalate to total war like these nobles want, we guarantee our own destruction. But if we can make peace, real peace, we save everyone. Peace with the Kryn? One noble scoffed. Impossible. Loth. Maybe, Jake said, turning to face the room. But I am human. You know what humans are known for? Being impossible. We are stubborn and crazy, and we do not give up. Right now, this empress has been fighting the smart war. The careful war. Trying to save lives, while you all demand glory. Well, here is something from Earth. Glory is just a fancy word for corpses. He turned back to Kira. You asked me once why I stay. I stay because you are trying to save the galaxy, not rule it. Because you see people, not resources. Because you built something worth protecting. Do not let them tear it down because they are too proud to try peace. The throne room went completely silent. Kira stood slowly. She looked at Jake, then at her nobles, then back at Jake. You are right, she said quietly. Then louder, I am Empress of the Seventh Dominion. I have ruled for 3 centuries, and I say we will try peace one more time. The nobles protested. Some threatened to rebel. But Kira stared them down with 300 years of authority behind her eyes. However, she continued, I will not do this alone. Jake Martinez, for your service to this empire, for your courage and honesty, I am appointing you as my special envoy to the Kryn Collective. You will lead the peace delegation. Jake blinked. You are human. You are neutral in the old conflicts. You are stubborn enough to negotiate with the Kryn and crazy enough to try. She almost smiled. 8. Plus, you have proven you can walk into any situation and say exactly what needs to be said. 3 weeks later, Jake stood on a Kryn command ship. He had no weapons, no backup, just a data crystal containing proof of the old war weapon and a message from Kira. The Kryn ruling council sat before him. They looked even more frightening up close, like giant insects that had learned to stand and think and hate. We know what you are planning, Jake told them. He placed the crystal on their table. And we can stop you. We have enough ships, enough allies, but we do not want to, because stopping you means total war. And total war means everyone loses. He paused. This Empress, she is different. She does not want to conquer you. She wants to coexist. I know you think that is weakness. But I have seen her fight. She chooses peace, not because she is weak, but because she is strong enough to try. The Kryn were silent for a long time. Their black eyes reflected light in strange ways. Finally, their leader spoke. The translator turned clicks into words. Why does she send a human to speak for her? Why? 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 Because I am the only one who told her the truth when everyone else was too scared, Jake said. And because sometimes the galaxy needs someone honest enough to say this is stupid, let us find a better way. The negotiations took months. There were setbacks, threats, moments where everything almost collapsed. But slowly, impossibly, a framework for peace emerged. Not perfect peace, not friendship, but stable peace. The kind where people could live without waiting for their sun to explode. When Jake finally returned to the Imperial homeworld, Kira was waiting for him in a private garden, away from ceremonies and politics. Just the two of them, under alien trees. You did it, she said softly. You saved billions of lives. Ow. We did it, Jake corrected. I just delivered the message. No, Kira stepped closer. You were more than that. You were the reminder I needed. That power is about choosing. And sometimes the bravest choice is peace. Jake looked at this incredible being. This Empress who had trusted him when she had no reason to. So, remember that first day? When I said you were the sexiest alien woman in the galaxy? I remember. I think that was an understatement. He paused. You are also the bravest, wisest, most frustrating person I have ever met. And I know I am just a human cargo hauler, and you are literally galactic royalty. But I think maybe we could try being something more than friends. Kira kissed him. It was soft and surprising, and felt completely right. When she pulled back, she was smiling. You are not just a cargo hauler anymore, Jake Martinez. You are the human who changed history. You are my friend, my advisor, and yes, maybe something more. Yeah, Jake said, with that same reckless grin from their first meeting. I would really like that. Jake said, I would. Jake said. Jake said. Jake said, would, in a garden on an alien world, under stars that would keep burning because of their choices, a human and an empress stood together. Billions of people across the galaxy went about their lives, never knowing how close they had come to extinction. Never knowing that an impossible peace had been forged by the most unlikely partnership in history. The galaxy was not perfect. There would be more challenges, more dangers. But for now, there was peace, and there was hope, and sometimes hope was enough.